So through the story of what happened to me, issue by issue, I could actually tell a bigger story of what happened to us in the West.
Well, it seemed to me that the reason that I pointed that out, because I think it's fair to say that's where you started to realise that your political position of choice was moving away from you, is that it's in the area of something as critical as looking after our children. That if we won't accept the evidence that points to the ideals for our children, I don't want to sound insensitive about this, people work different journeys, but there's no doubt about it. Just as we know what's healthy and what's not, we all try to eat sensibly because we're told we know what eating sensibly is. We all try to keep fit because we know that's important. But you're not even allowed to talk about what the ideals are for our children anymore. If we won't do it there, where will we respond to the evidence?
Well, we don't. We collectively no longer respond to evidence.
Once you've opened that door
to
the people that we ought to nourish and cherish and care most about, the vulnerable kids who haven't got a voice, if we won't listen to the evidence for their best interests, where will we?
Well, indeed. I mean, it's not just children. The whole breakdown of family has impacted on everybody, men, women, and children. Women have suffered greatly, and it's ironic because women have been in the forefront of opening this whole can of worms of lifestyle choice in the interests of freeing themselves from men. That's sort of the ultra-feminist point of view. But anecdotally, this tells you everything that you need to know. I can't recall quite when it was, but let's say somewhere around the 1980s maybe, possibly the 1990s, a set of information disappeared completely from the British government's research archive. That information used to tell us, there used to be statistical information to tell us of the relative rates of abuse to women and children from different types of family background. And as I recall, I'm speaking from memory because these figures are no longer accessible. They're no longer even collected. But as I recall, the level of abuse, both physical and sexual, of both women and children from broken families where there was no married father on board was something like 33 times what it was in a married household. 33 times. So, women and children faced that level of suffering as a result of the very situation that women were in the forefront of bringing about. Those figures were stopped being collected because it was discriminatory against non-married households. There could be no indication that there was any disadvantage. That information was censored out of existence in Britain. So nobody now knows. Nobody can tell. I can't tell you what the statistical likelihood is of a woman being beaten up by living in a household of transient men. I can't tell you. Those figures no longer exist. And so that's what we've done. We've really made evidence and truth illegitimate because it may conflict with our ideological belief that a particular policy, course of action, way of life is unarguably correct. This is a terrifying situation. I mean, there was a term, a phrase termed by a man called Talmon in, I think, I've forgotten when, maybe the 50s. He called it cultural totalitarianism. That's what we're living through.